There it is. Yeah. Now I'm 6'7", so I grew 3 more inches since the 6'4" days. So, how y'all doing?
Good.
Good?
I'm great.
I mean, you're out of class. You should be loving me right now because you are out of class.
I love you.
Thank you. It means a lot. Man, I'm so excited to be back home. I can't even tell you. Every time I drive into town, it just feels so good. It feels right. You know, Hastings what was such a special community for me. And it was interesting, though, because I've always, for some reason, missed these amazing transitions by 1 year, right? So here's an example. We were supposed to win the state championship football when I was a senior. I mean, we had an incredible team. And we lost to Woodbury in the section championship game. And then the next year, they win the state championship. Well, same thing happened with the school buildings. So, graduated in 1999. The next year, the new school was built. Just missed it. Went on to play at the University of Minnesota at the Metrodome, and just a year after I graduated, they built the new TCF Bank Stadium. And then I went on to play in the NFL, and the same thing happened with the Indianapolis Colts, and we had an indoor stadium, and they built the new stadium a year after. So I don't know what the deal was, but I just seemed to miss everything by 1 year. But just an incredible time when I was at Hastings. One of the other things that was so amazing about 1999 was five male athletes went on to play at the University of Minnesota with full ride scholarships. We had three full ride scholarships in hockey with Dan Welch, Jeff Tafe, and Ben Tharp. We had a full ride basketball scholarship that went to Mike Bauer, and then I was football. So it was just a really exciting time for Hastings athletics, and just an exciting time in general for the community. And I was one of these guys, though, I was always involved in so many different things. So not only was I in 3 sports, but I was in 5 choirs, and I played the tuba. Where's my bandmates here? Woo, woo. Yes, yes. I was a killer tuba player. You didn't want to mess with me on that tuba. I mean, it was actually not a funny sight. But love to be well-rounded. You know, that was, you know, I grew up in a musical family, and so I was really drawn into the arts. So, you know, where am I? What's going on in my life today? Basically, you know, as you've heard, was here, went on to the University of Minnesota for 4 years as a starting tight end. That took me into the NFL. I played 6 years in the NFL, 4 with the Indianapolis Colts. We won a Super Bowl in 2006 against the Chicago Bears. Any Chicago Bear fans here?
Yeah!
I'm sorry. No, actually, I'm not really that sorry because this is... But I played 6 years in the NFL. The last 2 were with the Cincinnati Bengals. Unfortunately, my career ended in 2009 due to my 5th documented concussion, which is one of the reasons why I'm here to talk with you today. Music has taken me all over the place. I went to Nashville for 3 years after my NFL career ended. It started to become a full-time musician and really growing as a recording artist. I have had the chance to sing for 2 presidents. Probably the highlight of my singing career was I got asked to sing to Muhammad Ali at his 60th birthday party out in Arizona. So it was truly incredible. It was Muhammad Ali, and it was a night with some of the greatest athletes in the world. So Lance Armstrong was sitting here. This was all before he got in trouble. But Lance Armstrong was sitting here. Andre Agassi, Steffi Graf, Annika Sorenstam, I mean, Tony Hawk. I mean, the list goes on. They were all there, and I got to sing to Muhammad Ali, who was just sitting 2 tables in front of me. So it was truly spectacular. So music has been just an integral part of my life and the makeup of who I am. But probably the most important element of who I am is my family. Family is huge for me. That's why I chose to stay in Minnesota and go to the University of Minnesota, because my whole family's here. I met my wife at the University of Minnesota. We met, she's the captain of the women's golf team, just an incredible golfer, and probably my greatest lesson in humility because she kicks my butt all over the course. It's not even funny. And so it's been amazing to be married to someone who's an athlete. She's also a musician. She's an incredible piano player. And we have 3 beautiful daughters. We have 3 amazing daughters. We had 3 daughters in under 20 months. Okay? So thank you so much for having me here because I needed a break, to be honest with you. Thank you. My wife is pregnant with number 4. Yeah. Okay. So we found out on Friday, this last Friday, what we're having. It's a girl. Will you guys pray for me, please? Or just send me good thoughts and just be like, help Ben. Because it's a crazy dramatic house. I love it though. I love being a dad of all girls. It's just amazing to watch these little girls grow and how their minds work and the things they think about and say, I got to tell you this vulnerable story. So, my oldest daughter, Alora, she's 5, going on 6, and recently I was putting her to bed, and I had crawled in bed to cuddle with her, and I just had pajama pants on. Now, you got to understand, like, at this age, right, kids they really do say the darndest things, right? They just say what they're thinking, and it's all innocent, right? It's all innocent, but they just let you know what's on their mind without thought. So I crawled in bed with Alora, and I just got my pajama pants on, and she's, we're cuddling, and she's just petting my chest, and she's staring, just staring at my chest, and I could tell the little wheels were going in her little mind, right? She's just staring, she's thinking, and finally I say, Alora, sweetheart, what are you thinking about? And she goes, Daddy. And she looks up at me with these innocent, beautiful blue eyes. Daddy, I said, yes, sweetheart? You have beautiful nipples. I mean, like, what do you do with that? Like, what do you say to that? I didn't teach her that word. I mean, where did you learn that word? So I immediately went to my wife, and I'm like, what is going on here? This is what you just said to me. It was my wife. My wife taught her that word. Anyway, that's where I'm at with these girls. Just amazing girls. We had 3 in under 20 months because our second pregnancy was identical twins. So I have Alora and Catriel and Amy, and Kate and Amy, having that twin is just really a unique relationship to watch grow. But what's interesting about identical twins, here's a fun fact for identical twins. If my daughters have their own children someday, not only will they be cousins, but they'll be half siblings. Because they share the same genetic DNA. Identical twins share the same genetic DNA. So not only will they have cousins, but they will have half siblings. Isn't that, it's like mind-blowing. Like, really? I mean, that's something that, like, you hear in, like, Arkansas, but not in Minnesota, for goodness sakes. I'm just kidding. So why am I here today? Obviously came from Hastings and was a big part of the community. But why here today? Why talking with you guys? Well, my career ended in 2009 because of traumatic brain injury. And unfortunately for me, concussions has changed my abilities to do certain things. struggling with certain cognitive problems now, and the most of which, and the scariest of which for me, is memories. My long-term memory has been affected, and it's really put me into a whole new thought process in my life. Realizing how important my mind is and how important my brain is. And this last year, as the national advocate, I had a chance to go speak to Congress, and really became one of the most vocal NFL players, youngest NFL players, to actually start to speak about the long-term effects of brain injury. And I said something on the spot. It just came. I didn't have it written down, but I told these senators and these congressmen and women that were sitting, I said, I didn't begin to care about my mind until I began to lose my mind. And it was the process of memories being taken away from me from a game that I loved to play that changed the priorities in my life. And so I'm here today to just tell you that story. Tell you my concussion story. Tell you how putting a priority on my mind and my brain, how that changed the way that I've looked at life, how it's changed the way that I am as a husband and as a father and as a friend. And hopefully, can get you guys to start asking some of these questions at the age you're at. Because I neglected and I took so many things for granted, and at 29 years old is when for the first time in my life I actually started to prioritize my life properly. And so in order to do that, I've got a couple of videos that I have with me today. And I want you to just take a look at this first one. It's a short documentary on my story. And it will give you kind of an idea, everything that happened from the last concussion in Cincinnati to moving ahead. And then we'll come out and I'll share a little bit about that story and how I came to this realization. And then we'll have some time for question and answer. So be thinking about some things as you watch this video. And don't be surprised, because in this video, I have long hair and a beard. So I kind of called it my Jesus phase. It was like the Jolly Green Jesus, like this big Jesus guy. So don't be shocked. But it's called A Game of Consequences, and it will tell you, it'll really give you a frame of mind about what I'm here to talk to you about. Cute girls, huh? Yeah. Just such a sweet, just so sweet. And really, it made me ask this question. It made me ask this question that I want to ask you guys today. How differently would you live your life if you knew the day you would lose your memories? How differently would you live your lives if you knew the day you would lose your memories? That question has become a reality for me. The most recent statistic is that 76 of 79 autopsied brains of former NFL players show a brain disease called CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is a degenerative brain disease that basically eats away at your brain cells. And so what you're seeing, I'm sure you've seen this in the media, but what you're seeing is players in their late 40s, early 50s, and 60s being diagnosed with brain disease. Now, the scary thing with brain disease is that it's not an issue of if, it's an issue of when. Because in many situations you can beat cancer. But if you get diagnosed with a brain disease, It becomes a matter of when. Statistically, because of my concussion history, I'm faced with the reality that playing a sport that I love to play is potentially going to cause me to experience the effects of CTE. One in 6 in our country are affected by brain disorder and disease. 1 in 6. We don't really think about it. But 1 in 6, 350 plus million people in America, over 53 million are affected by brain disorder and disease. It's incredible. These are all things that I just took for granted because, if we're being honest, it's the one organ in our body that we do take for granted the most. You know, we would put our heart, or we would put our lungs, or we would put our liver ahead of what is the organ that is the miracle of who we are, of how you think, of how you interact with your friends. Think about your life. Think about your conversations with your friends and your family. How many of those conversations revolve around the memories you have with them? Imagine them being gone. Imagine a disease eating away at those. Would that change the way you live today? It has for me. It has for me. I hope I never forget February of 2007. It was the most incredible day. Because some kid from a small river town in Minnesota finds himself on the greatest stage in the world on that night. Over 101 million people from around the world tuned in to watch the Indianapolis Colts versus the Chicago Bears. It was one of only 2 Super Bowls in the history of the NFL to reign. I'll never forget, 2 weeks prior, our all-pro kicker Adam Vinatieri, who had already won 3 Super Bowls with the New England Patriots, was asked to get up in front of our team and kind of give us some information about what we're going to expect, what is it going to be like to actually be down there in Miami, and what are we going to experience, to be prepared, to be ready for it. And he said a number of things, but one in particular stuck. And he said, guys, at kickoff, don't blink. Don't you dare blink at kickoff. And that's all he said. So fast forward 2 weeks, here we are in Miami. It's been an incredible week. The magnitude of this game is so massive, you guys. They shut down the most major highway that ran through Florida just so that we could get to practice on time. Completely shut it down. We were the only buses on this 4-lane highway straight through Miami. It's a big game. So here we are. Adam Vinatieri is taking his steps back to kick the ball off for the first play of the Super Bowl 41. Now, I'm standing in between 2 future Hall of Famers in Tony Dungy on my right and Peyton Manning on my left. I'm watching Adam take his steps back, and I remember what he said. At kickoff, don't blink. Don't you dare blink. So I'm sitting there on the sidelines. My eyes are, there's nothing that's going to keep me from keeping my eyes open. It doesn't matter if we got the side rain. I'm not going to blink. Ref blows the whistle. Adam drops his hand and he releases the Colts. He plants his foot perfectly on the ball, and the ball goes soaring into the upper atmosphere of the Miami Stadium. And I have never in my life seen so many flashing lights. It was truly incredible. I've often said that Neil Armstrong would have been jealous to be in my shoes because of what that moment felt like. To be surrounded by 75,000 people taking pictures and flashing lights. It's incredible. And Adam was right. A magical moment. The greatest moment of my athletic career up to that point. And then all of a sudden, the ball came out of those flashing lights and into the hands of the most deadly return man in the history of the NFL, Devin Hester, who proceeded to run the ball all the way back on the first play of the game. Are you kidding me? Seriously? It went from being like the greatest moment of my athletic life to the worst moment of my athletic career. And I'd be lying to you if I didn't tell you, man, my heart went into my stomach and I started thinking to myself, oh my gosh, is this foreshadowing what's going to happen for the rest of the game? And I noticed Tony Dungy not even paying attention to what Devin Hester was doing in the end zone, celebrating with the Bears. He was looking at his play sheet. He was talking to his coaches on the headphones. I look over at Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning could care less what's going on in the end zone. He's studying his wristband. He's talking to Tom Moore, offensive coordinator. And I just knew in that moment it was going to be okay. And it was. We went on to win 29-17. Just a fantastic night. And whenever you're losing in the rain, it sucks. But whenever you're winning in the rain, it's fun. And that was a fun and incredible night. In 2007, a year that I thought was going to just get better, potentially a repeat year. I had a pretty good, I kind of stayed away from injuries in 2006, and I thought, this is going to be great. We're going to go on. No more challenges are ahead. And this is when concussions began to take a turn for the worst in my life. We were playing the Denver Broncos. It was just the beginning of the first quarter, and I had released to cut block a defensive end, so I ended up on the ground. And a pursuing defensive tackle, chasing down our running back from behind, tried to jump over me. And when he jumped over me, his cleat hit the back of my helmet. And on film, it really looked very minor. I mean, you saw my head kind of bob down, but then my entire body just went limp. And I was out for about 15 seconds, just lying there. Then all of a sudden, some teammates came around me. 4 or 5 teammates came around me, and all of a sudden, slowly, I start to come to. I'm rolling around. You can tell something's not right. But I get up off the field, and then I'm talking to these guys on the field. And then I sprint off to the sideline, and I'm talking to coaches and trainers. I remember absolutely nothing from that game. The only reason I can tell you that story is because I was able to watch it on film. It was the first time in my career that I had ever experienced any injury where the after effect was amnesia. And I don't really know how to describe it to you unless you've actually been through it. To have a moment or a period of your life that is literally completely removed. It's not like the things that we all experience where you might forget, what you were saying, or you're multitasking and you were going to do something and you forgot what it is for a second until it comes back. This is gone. It's just not there. It doesn't exist. And so to watch that on camera, to see myself go from being unconscious to standing up to having conversations with people to even running off the field. How weird is it that I have no memory of actually my body running off the field? My brain was telling my muscles and everything to work and run, but yet it's like it never happened for me. It was after this concussion that some of these cognitive consequences started to affect my life. There was some stuttering that was going on. There was short-term memory lapses that began to happen more frequently. There were times now where my wife began saying, "Hey, Ben, are you okay?" I would get frustrated much more easily, which is really outside of my personality. And so I started going through these moments, and I didn't really know how to process this because at this point, concussions were still an unknown. You get hit, you get knocked out, you get back up and you play. Right? And so, again, that's what I did. I brushed aside a number of things that were scary and began to affect my everyday, and I continued to play. I signed that deal with Cincinnati to become their breakout tight end. I thought, here we are. We've arrived. This is it. This is what I've worked so hard for. And after playing one season with them, I went into training camp in 2009 and took my fifth documented concussion. And I say documented because, for the most part, all those concussions were knockouts. It's the most severe kind of concussion. There were many concussions in between that I didn't share because I wanted to play. And knowing what I know now, would I go back and make different decisions? I'd like to think so. But as you saw, this last one was a serious deal. I was out for 90 seconds. Spent the night in a hospital, and it took 8 months to really get back to a place of normalcy. Unfortunately, what got worse was the memory. Karen, my wife, and I came back to Minnesota, and we were visiting some friends of mine, former teammate at the University of Minnesota, and we were sitting down at their kitchen table talking about wedding stories. And Matt and Kim began to talk about their wedding and sharing stories and memories from the day. And I kind of chimed in and I said, "Matt, why wasn't I able to be in your wedding?" And he kind of gave me this smirk and laughed it off like, Ben's just being sarcastic. And I chimed back in and I said, no, Matt, seriously, why wasn't I able to be there? I mean, I wasn't in training camp, I wasn't in mini camp, so I would have loved to have been there. Why wasn't I there? And the table just got quiet. And his wife, Kim, got up and went and got their wedding album. She brought it over to the table, and she opened it up, and page after page, there I was, as a groomsman in the wedding. I sang in his wedding. And I remember nothing of that experience. Zero. It doesn't matter how hard I try and think about it. I can close my eyes and I can try and pull out whatever I can about the building and the people that were there, and nothing. Gone. And we all kind of sat there in this disbelief, like, and that's probably one story out of a couple handfuls of situations in my life, of gaps that are just gone. Sitting around a table with my family over the holidays, and them talking about stories that have happened in the last 15 years that everybody there, and I sometimes sit there in the quietness and don't tell anybody, but it's just gone. And so it was these moments, you guys. It was coming into the place where, for the first time in my life, I'm no longer neglecting the miracle of the mind, of the makeup of who we are. And because of that, what did I choose, right? Because you're always, when the fork comes in the road, you get two choices. And I know all of you in this room, in some way, shape, or form, go through your own struggles, you go through your own trials, and you face your own obstacles. And as my head coach at the University of Minnesota, Glenn Mason, always used to tell us, is that everything you do comes down to a choice. And so I was faced with a choice. Do I get mad? Do I give in to a depressive tendency and do I let it bring me down? Or do I make a choice to take something for the first time that I'm realizing how special it is? And because now my future is uncertain, because I don't know if I'm going to be 50 years old and diagnosed with early onset dementia because of football. So because that's a reality for me, because there could be a day where I wake up and I don't remember the names of my children or the face of my wife, I began to live differently today. I chose to allow concussions and an uncertain future to make me a better husband, to listen to my wife more, to love her better, because I don't know if that day will come when I'll lose her. I chose to be a better father. How has it changed me as a father? I give more time to my daughters. I don't just kind of, push them aside, or I embrace them now to the best. I cherish every moment I can have with them now because I don't know what is down the road. It's the same with my friendships. It's honestly the same with everything that I'm doing in my life. Trying to make it in a new career. The work that I'm trying to do, I do better. I do harder because I don't know when the day may come when I can no longer do it. And so, what does this mean for you guys? It may not be concussions for you. But each of you has been given an incredible mind. I mean that. Each and every one of you has been given a miracle that is 8 pounds and sits inside your skull and gives you the abilities to do everything that you're doing. You're amazing. I know that sounds like a motivational thing to say, but you are amazing. If you really understood how the brain works, you're walking miracles. And if you can realize how special this is, how special your mind is, and that without it, you wouldn't be who you are, will that change the way you choose to live today? Will it change the way you approach your classes, the way you listen to your teachers, how you treat your friends? Are you going to bully that person today? Or are you going to say hi to that person today? Men, how are you going to treat the women of this school? Are you going to treat them like I would want you to treat my daughters if you were dating them? You better. Women, how will it change the way you respect yourselves and what you deserve? So much. There's so much that can change. There's so many right choices to be made that you can make when you realize how special this mind is that you have. I know that's heavy stuff. I wish that I would have been able to hold on to that or grasp it before 29, because I feel like I missed out on so many opportunities to make better choices, to make choices around what should have been the priorities in my life. But I'm glad I have it today, and I'm glad that I have had to go through some challenges in order to get there, because it gives me a chance to share it with you. I had never really gone through the therapeutic process of how I would, if that time ever does happen to come for me, like what could I do? What could I do to ensure that my wife and my daughters know how much I love them? And so in the production of my last album, there was a song that was missing. and it was the love letter to my family, right? It was kind of the moment for me to really step out and make sure that they know how I feel about them. And so I wrote this song. I co-wrote this song called "You Will Always Be My Girls," and I wrote it on an airplane. With my hat down over my eyes. I mean, it was a tough letter to write, and out of that letter came this song. And I think what it does is it shows you what's important. It shows you what's important in my life, but I think will give you a connection and an experience of realizing what's important for all of us, what really matters in your lives. And when you can really step back and say, okay, wow, this is what's really important. So am I going to choose to put my time and my energy into those things? Or am I just going to kind of fall into the flow of the world that kind of tells me to go this way and that? So watch this music video. I'm real proud of it for a number of reasons. I put it on YouTube about, I think it was 6 to 8 months ago, and it's just got to about 1 million views. And it's just really hit a nerve because people are struggling with this all over. And so this is called "You Will Always Be My Girls."
I'm in here counting the days while my mind is slipping away. I'll hold on as long as I can to you. I may not remember your name or the smell of the cool summer. Changed. Nothing has changed, and I will remember your smile and your laughter long ever after this moment is gone. You will always be my girl. You're the beauty of my world. You're the beauty of my world. You're the only thing that matters
Thank you. Thanks. So, how about my wife? First time ever acting. That was pretty incredible. But anybody recognize the hospital? Regina. Yeah, it was Regina. We had a chance to shoot this here, pretty much here in Hastings, and so special for a lot of reasons. The IV bag stands for the importance for research, right? It's research that's going to help us find the cures for brain disease. And in the story here, that's exactly what happened, and was able to bring this individual out of a coma. So, how differently would you live your life if you knew the day you'd lose your memories? Maybe that question will begin to start to get you to think about things differently and help you make choices in the right directions for what really should take priority in your life like it has for me. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be with you guys today. I want to take this moment. I've got this concert tomorrow night here on this stage. This will be one of the songs that I'll be singing, but it's going to be awesome. It's a full-on produced light show, high energy songs. Got a couple of my Nashville musicians here in town. Just killer band. I mean, it's going to be real cool. So if you guys want to come, I'd love for you to be there. We've already got 600 seats filled. So it's going to fill up. It's going to continue to fill up quick. There is a special student discount for you guys. So if you do want to get tickets, you can get them at my website, ben-utecht.com. And you'll see it right when the page pops up. You can buy tickets and put in a promo code STUDENT241. STUDENT241, and you'll get two for the price of one. So the tickets are cheap anyway. So and all proceeds are going back into ministries in this community. And so not making a dime on this show. This is just all to go back for good causes. So would love for you guys to be there and experience it. And now, I think we have about 5 minutes for questions and answers if you guys have any questions. So, anybody? Who? Oh. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Tough song to write, but it's needed to be written. If you got a question, just shout it out because I can't. Yeah. I didn't hear it. One more time.
Why do you call it the Jesus face and you look more like Thor?
Thor. Hemsworth? That is awesome. I'll take that any day, man. Awesome. I would have preferred Clark Kent, but whatever.
Okay,
Whatever.
we got a question up here.
Yeah.
So if you were the father of like a 10 or 12-year-old son, would you or would you not allow him to play contact sports like football?
Great question. Get asked that question all the time. And the answer for me, personally, is this. Children are going through the most developmental stages of their brain between the ages of 2 and 12. And it's when your brain is doing everything from growing in its native first language. I mean, your language skills, your math skills, your behavioral skills are all being developed between 2 and 12. Now there's still, you're still maturing beyond that, but there's some very important aspects to how your brain is forming between those years. So for me, if I had a son, I would keep him from contact sports until high school. That would save 6 to 7 years of head-to-head collisions that kids are facing when they start tackle football now in 3rd grade. It would also give you the ability to physically mature and get stronger so that you can handle the hits that you face. One of the reasons why we see so many concussions in younger children is because of lack of neck strength in both young boys and young girls. In 3rd and 4th grade, you don't have the strength to stop whiplash, especially when you're wearing a heavy helmet. If you're playing soccer, you don't have the strength to be able to control a header. And so I think that there are some things that could be done in order to still teach kids fundamentals and techniques, especially in football, tackling fundamentals and techniques, to still teach weight training and getting stronger. But for me personally, I wouldn't put him in until high school. And there are all pro football players in the NFL that didn't play a lick of football until the NFL. So, any other questions? Yeah? Great question. If I was Pete Carroll, head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, would I have run the ball with the most deadly running back in all of the NFL on the 1 yard line? I mean, do I need to ask that question? I mean, of course. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Even more, did you guys hear Fran Tarkenton recently on the K-Fan say that he knows people in the New England Patriots organization that he talked to, and he asked them, did you in fact deflate the footballs? And they said, of course we did. We've been doing it for years. Yeah. Paul Allen was like, wait, hold on. Fran, can you just repeat what you're saying, that you actually talked to somebody in the New England Patriots organization and they admitted this? Yeah. They could even give the name of the ball boy. So, cheaters never prosper. Anybody else? Yeah. Is there a chance to come out of it? I would say that the likelihood of CTE not affecting me is small, but it does affect people differently. Okay, there are many people that have CTE, in the former players especially, that for whatever reason, because this is so in its infancy of research, but aren't affected the same way as others. Is it a genetic disposition to some other diseases like Alzheimer's or dementia? If you have a family history of that, does that change? I mean, there's so many things that we're just now beginning to learn. So the answer is yes. The reason why I put that IV bag in there is because working with the American Brain Foundation, their goal is to cure brain disease. I mean, you have these brilliant minds that are working 24/7 to find the cures for Alzheimer's and find the cures for Parkinson's. And it can be done. Many people don't realize polio. Polio is a brain disorder, brain disease, and it was cured. So we can do it. We just need to have a more focused approach on finding the money to go into research to find the cures. We got to go. Thanks, you guys. Get back to class.